Welcome to Tea for Lunch, a weekly show powered by Arcade.
Each week, we'll serve you the top stories we're following in social media, celebrity, entertainment, and tech in 15 minutes or less. You can catch the show live on Instagram every Thursday at around 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or on all podcast providers and YouTube every Friday. This week, this is a special episode, the last Tea for Lunch of the year. I'm your host, Mitzi.
And Michael.
And Michael Payne.
Better known as Mike.
Mike Payne.
On the mic.
Mike Payne on the mic. Oh.
I thought about it for a split second, but I'm not going to.
Are you okay?
We're almost there. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I slept weird, so my neck kind of hurts. So I'm glad I'm on this side because it's easier to turn this way than that way, you know?
We're at the age where you can injure yourself in bed.
Oh, man.
In your sleep.
And this isn't as bad. I feel like I've done it worse before.
We have a friend that dislocated their shoulder while sleeping.
Yeah, he was fully in a sling. I can get a kink in my neck, you know? But that's as bad as it's gotten so far, thankfully. I feel like I hurt my toe once sleeping.
You did. That was so weird.
Yeah.
Did you kick me or something?
I think you would kick me more. I don't move around that much during sleep.
Yes, you do, Michael. You do.
No,
you
I
do.
don't.
You
Not
do.
that much.
You do.
Just
what?
But yeah, I'm getting through it, and I'm pretty tired today. But the kids are off school tomorrow, and we got one meeting tomorrow, and then we're done.
Then we're done for the year, 2023.
That's what it do.
And it's been a big year. It hasn't been an easy year, but I'm proud of us.
Yeah, and every year we shut down between Christmas and New Year's, and that's always a vortex where you don't know what day it is, and you can just be in your home clothes, and just be
home
about
clothes.
it with the kids.
Do people know what home clothes are?
Just comfy clothes, you know?
Just
not
cozy
necessarily
clothes.
pajamas,
not
but not
going out clothes, but yeah. You still look respectable. You're not living in a robe all day, but you're not
if someone
jeans.
comes to your door unexpected, you're not oh no.
Yeah.
You're presentable still.
Right. If you needed to, you could run to the grocery store, but you wouldn't want to take pics.
Yeah. So I feel we were really earning that week.
Mm-hmm.
In Q4 here. It's been really busy. We've just been working as a team to bring on as much new exciting stuff as we can and while still doing a good job. And we're going to go into January feeling great. So
yeah,
that's
we're
what
leaving
counts.
Everything out this week.
We're
starting new clients. Yeah, we're doing a strategy presentation and we're hiring in 1 week.
Yeah.
Which normally isn't happening on a good week, let alone the last week of the year. So
it's popping.
Yeah, it's okay though. And we're happy to be here.
We're happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Got to finish it off with some tea for lunch.
Absolutely. So today we're going to do things a little differently. In the spirit of the new year, we're going to chat through some of our top stories and the things that we watched in 2023. So this is a roundup of our personal picks. So if you're feel like
our
debating
picks
us,
or your picks,
my picks and your picks. So if you're
I wonder
curious,
if we picked any of the same ones.
Well,
that'd be lucky if we didn't.
Yeah. Because we watched most of the same stuff. So yeah, it's going to be fun. Let us know if you agree or disagree in the comments. But again, this is just personal preference. It's chill. It's not that deep. So enjoy. Okay, let's go through our top stories. So these are stories that we felt really gripped us this year, felt important and also fun to talk about. So let's start with number 3. My number 3 story, top 3, would be the Twitter, aka X saga, and everything that kind of happened with Twitter this year. Elon Musk buying it, of course, and then rebranding to X, and then everything that happened in between from employees leaving to, I don't know, every single change that they made to character counts and editing, but not editing their tweets. It's just been such a whirlwind.
Yeah, I think one of the positive things through it all has been, at least from my perspective, the community notes feature that they added, where if someone shares something, then the community can either align with it or provide evidence that this is fake news or
right.
Not true, which is interesting because when you see something that gets your attention and then you see community notes underneath it saying sharing references that basically refute it, it's really helpful because you never know what's true
I
these
kind of
days.
wish they had that in other platforms. And look, like as much as it was fun to knock Elon Musk during this whole process, like I do find some of the changes that he's made to be quite refreshing. Like the fact that it's now a paid platform, like it takes kind of like advertisers out of the equation, which is, monetization of these social platforms is a huge conversation topic. So I think it's kind of cool that he's kind of flipping the industry upside down. And like, do I agree with every single move he made this year? No. But some things were really interesting and it felt like it was like a reality show on the side of everything else we talked about.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, it's in shambles. And so is he. And advertisers are boycotting it. And advertising, I think, has gotten worse on Twitter.
For sure.
Even though I pay for like Twitter Blue, I still get so many ads. And then you have to pay even more to have an ads-free experience in your feed, which I'm tempted to just because the ads are so intrusive.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's by design. Like, probably. And also Meta is doing the same thing, like testing an ad-free paid experience. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst idea. It's just execution is a little poor. Yeah. But anyways, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is similar. It's Threads. And not because I'm like really excited about where Threads is now, but just because it was a really notable moment this year in social media. And even just on the topic of Elon and Twitter, I think they probably launched a little too early, just trying to take advantage of where Twitter was at the time. But I'm still giving Threads a chance going into 2024. I think there's the possibility that as they continue to make improvements, that it could continue to be kind of like a place for people to migrate from X to that. And also just some people that use Instagram and TikTok that maybe are getting a little bit of fatigue from like video content creation to have another form of dialogue with people.
Yeah, I'm so done with Threads. Like I had it for the first 2 weeks and like maybe posted here and there, but man, it's off my phone. I'm like, what's so annoying about Instagram right now? If you want to share a post from your feed or a reel to your stories, it used to be that first button. So you press the like share and then it's like share to stories. And now it's share to Threads. And so it always just like, I accidentally press it and then it opens up like the app store for me to download Threads by again because I deleted it. And then it's always like, here are Threads, you get notifications. And it's like, here are Threads that you might be interested in. And I'm like, I'm over it. Like, stop pushing Threads.
Are any of them interesting?
No. Oh. Like, I mean, they're fine. But like, it's not exclusive content I couldn't get anywhere else personally.
I do find myself getting pulled into Threads because of that. Like, here's content you might be interested in. But our algorithms are different.
I'll read Threads that are shared to stories. And that's about it.
How considerate of you.
Okay, on to the next one. My number 2 story, and I think this is like probably relevant for a lot of marketers who are listening, is the Barbie movie and everything that came with it, from the brand collaborations to the crazy marketing budget to all the celebrity like moments of wearing pink and all that stuff. Like I think Barbie really captured our attention for the year, and obviously like Mattel's paid a premium to do so. So I think that was just really interesting.
Yeah. I think so too. I'm not as stoked on Barbie and that whole experience as some people are. And I still think like it was quantity over quality in terms of like the marketing effort. Like they just had crazy budget and they just painted everything pink and like collaborated with every brand imaginable. But it wasn't like that. I didn't find it that thoughtful.
Sure, but it worked. Like there's different strategies and approaches to like marketing. Like they went for mass as much as possible. And I mean, the proof is in like the amount of money it made. It made more money than it spent. And that's the goal of all marketing. So it's still good.
Is that the goal of all marketing? Make more money than you spend?
Not the goal of all marketing, but like in general, on paper, like the goal of marketing is to spend money to make money.
The way to keep your budget is to make more than you spend.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're saying the same thing.
Cool. My number 2 was ChatGPT. I think we can all agree that this was a major moment, and there still continues to be drama around AI and specifically OpenAI and Sam Altman, how he was removed by the board and then everyone threatened to quit and then he was reinstated. And I think there's this whole transition happening from that previous board into a new one. But most of all, I think ChatGPT was an important moment for people who produce content and creative. And there continues to be like quick, really fast movement and evolutions in that space. I think we're all a little bit afraid of what it could mean, less in the marketing space, but more just for humanity in general, because there's a lot of unknowns with it. And there's been a lot of thought leaders and experts sharing that there's dangers and risks involved.
With AI or ChatGPT?
With AI. ChatGPT is that.
I know.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I wanted to highlight that one. What do you think?
Cool. Yeah, I'm like not, I understand like it's an important story and I like feel like a little fatigued from talking about AI, but I do wish all that like drama between the board firing the founders and stuff, I want HBO to like get in there and do like a show, like Succession vibes of ChatGPT or OpenAI.
Even kind of like that WeWork show.
Yeah, which I didn't even finish that show about the founders.
That guy was too much.
Yeah. But I feel like it's just it's begging to be a show.
Yeah. We need to know. And this isn't something that I was going to share for what we're watching or what we watched, but I feel like even Dumb Money, that movie we watched with Seth Rogen, something like that around OpenAI instead of GameStop would be really interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Should it be a movie or a TV show?
TV show, always. Movies are so annoying. They're too long. Like I find like I'm interested in long form, like but like I want episodic content. Like I don't know.
But you usually watch more than one episode. Like you probably watch a movie length of episodes.
Yeah, but I need like I don't know. I just need it to be broken up in episodes.
Yeah. I think TV shows do like unpack a story better because like you watch a cluster of them at a time, but there's still a broader spectrum across which they can tell a story, and there's like smaller like rabbit trails.
I don't know what it is about movies, but I analyze it too much. Like I'm like, oh, why did they do this scene? Like even that like Good Money movie, I was like, they really like these like crazy loud like music slow-mo scenes. And I just like I don't get wrapped into the story. But like a show, it's like you have a bit more time for character development and it's not as like cinematic. I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think we felt that with Leave the World Behind. I feel like that's what everyone's watching right now. And the movie itself, like the body of it was really captivating and suspenseful, and it had us really engaged and even kind of stressed. But then it was like they just kind of like didn't really know how to land the plane, and then it just ended, you know?
Yeah, and I know that's a move. That's like an intentional thing to do in movies is like end it before it's done. And
That's giving them a lot of credit.
I'm not like a movie like expert. So I know I don't know what I'm talking about. I just prefer shows. Okay, let's move on to, this is my top story of the year. The one that gripped my attention is Taylor Swift and the NFL. I just think it was so like exciting to watch Taylor Swift like insert herself in the NFL's like ethos. I thought it was really fun to see how thirsty NFL got for the Swifties of the world. And it was just like I've always been interested in WAGs, so like the wives and girlfriends of NFL players. So it just felt like, okay, I'm really tuned in this year. And then it just so happened that one of the biggest stars in the world became a WAG. So it was just really fun to watch.
It was. I think it was a roller coaster for me. It was like fun at first, and then there's this level of fatigue because you could feel how thirsty the NFL was around it, and they were trying to exploit it at every level. And then I feel like because of how people felt about that, maybe the NFL just relaxed on it a little bit, and then it was kind of endearing again. And then we also kind of saw from peripheral content on social media that it actually seemed like they were actually into each other and they could actually possibly have a future. And it wasn't just a PR stunt necessarily. And then people got, I think, a little bit more warmed up to it.
Yeah, that whole journey is like fun. Like that's the stuff that like you're tuned in for. Like a love story between like the classic jock and the world's biggest pop star. It's like they were made for each other.
Yeah.
Give me more. It's fun. Okay, what was your number one story of the year?
My number one story is kind of like a narrative more so, and that is just this convergence of sports and fashion. It's been really fun for me because I love sports and I'm also really interested in fashion, and some of my some of the fashion brands or designers or kind of like leaders that I followed the most were part of the story. So The first one being Ronnie Feig of Kith and his involvement with the Knicks, and just seeing how he could bring his aesthetic and his design thinking and the style of the Kith brand into an iconic team like the New York Knicks, as him being a New Yorker himself and a longtime fan since he was a kid. And just also seeing like then the vibe and the style and the ethos of the Knicks just kind of change and evolve to be one, like another flavor of New York, but also two, just more interesting in terms of like wearing it and like buying merch from them, or like even the court itself changed and the jerseys. And that was just so cool to see that evolution take place in front of our eyes. While we're on the topic of NBA, also, I think Skims menswear was an interesting one to talk about, and how the athletes that they partnered with. And we shared our perspective on that a couple of months ago on one of these episodes. But then also off the cuff of that, then Kim's partnership with the NBA as well. And then more recently, another one we talked about was Joshua Videz, one of my favorite artists, getting engaged by Puma to work on Ferrari's cars and what do you call them, uniforms and peripheral merch for Formula One and its return to Las Vegas. And I just thought that was really fun to watch, and it had me engaged, and like I got sucked into the side stories and seeing the art develop, and then also how Ferrari did at the race and they got on the podium and stuff like that too. So yeah, it's just this like really interesting convergence of multiple interests of mine, and I think that a lot of people relate, and that's why it's happening.
Yeah, it's a big year for sports.
Yeah,
which we talk about a lot.
Definitely.
Okay, now on to the top things we watch. Again, this is our personal picks, so relax if your favorite did not end up in our top 3. But these are the things that we watch, whether it's a show or a movie or something else that we really loved this year. So let's start with number 3. I'll let you go first.
Okay. Yeah, my number 3 was The Last of Us. I'm not one for zombies typically.
Same.
But it was really well produced, and it was really engaging, and it wasn't as like, I mean, it was gruesome, but it was
not
like,
really. It was like
balanced.
So fake. Yeah,
it was balanced, and it was there was multiple storylines to follow, and I think the thing that stood out to me beyond just the production level and the quality of the show itself was the fact that it was shot in our backyard. You know, like it was in the mountains, it was in the city of Calgary, it was around here. We've really enjoyed watching the Alberta like film industry just kind of blow up, and more interesting projects like this come in and get filmed here. But it was actually, I think it made the show itself more surreal to me because it was so post-apocalyptic, but it happened in our city. So you could see like buildings that we know and recognize, or like streets we walk down and there was like zombies in them, and like, people's lives were at stake. And
I mean, apart from that, even if it wasn't filmed here and that you didn't have that, I feel like it was actually a good show. And It took me a while to get into it because that's not my style of show at all, but I was really hooked. And it introduced the world to Pedro Pascal, which is kind of unfair because he was in Game of Thrones, which is obviously like a really big show, but he became like just this like star. And I just love that because he's Chilean.
True.
So shout out to him.
Poppy.
My number 3 was The Golden Bachelor. Very different than The Last of Us, but I just found it was so heartwarming. It just came right at the time of year that I needed it to. And it was, I haven't watched The Bachelor in like a very long time. So I've been out of that like Bachelor universe, but it was just so wholesome because it was all these like older people who were trying to find love. And the main message was like, it's never too late to find love. And these people found love in their 70s. And I just thought it was so sweet and endearing. I cried like every episode, but that's probably because I'm an empath.
Okay, here we go again.
Yeah, so that's my number 3.
Yeah, I went into that one a little bit apprehensive, but down to engage because you were interested. And it at times it was cringy to me, but other times it was definitely endearing and just cool to see like some of these redemptive stories for people that are really having a hard time finding love after a lot of loss. Yeah,
and it really inspired some date ideas that are probably extravagant, and like we couldn't do them on like a normal Tuesday, but
right.
It's fun. I want to go on dates like The Bachelor.
Yeah, we're going to do an improv class. That's one thing we're going to do. And we're going to do some cooking classes.
Hot air balloon?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't like flying, but we could try.
Let's try it.
All right.
Okay, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is a movie, even though we like TV shows better. but it is Air, the movie with Ben Affleck about the Nike story and Michael Jordan and his deal that took place and the kind of like
Phil Knight.
emergence of the Jordan 1.
Mm-hmm. That was a really good movie. I will give it that. I did enjoy it. And I loved it. Was kind of like reminded me of Shoe Dog, which is my favorite book by Phil Knight. So if you like Shoe Dog and haven't seen Air, you will like Air.
Yeah, it kind of did just because it like obviously is the same story, but in another way, I was gonna say like it was different than what I anticipated going into watching it,
For
having
sure.
read the book.
Right.
But yeah, I just felt like it was really well done. It was engaging. I loved it because there's sneakers involved and just seeing like some of the thought process in developing that shoe.
Yeah. I thought it was so cool that they never showed Michael Jordan. Spoiler alert also, but they
Yeah.
never show him.
Yeah, I was going to say that actually. It's always interesting when there's a movie around a character and one of the key characters, but they never like really reveal their face, you know,
Which
because it would be
was
so hard to like
choice.
hit the likeness of Michael Jordan with an actor.
Exactly. Unless they like get his son, who's like a little too old for the movie.
His son
and the
doesn't even
time.
really look like him.
It's true. Okay, now let's move on to my number 2, which was Succession. I loved that show. I loved this season. It was the wrap of like this, they call it the series finale of the show. And it was so perfectly ended. Like I love when a show ends exactly as it should. And it's just so satisfying. And I didn't see it coming at all. So that was my favorite. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of HBO shows in general, but that was like such a good watch for me.
Yeah, that show was iconic. And I think that's one that we need to go back and watch over again. Because
Yes.
as the characters develop and as you get into it and you know them better and you know the nuances, then I feel like if we were to go back to the first couple seasons, there would be so much more that we'd pick up on in retrospect.
Yeah, it's a show I could rewatch for sure, which I can't say about every show.
Totally. Number 1 for me, this one was so fun and I can't wait for the next season, but it is The Bear. And I think like we actually initially started watching it and watched a few episodes and enjoyed it, but it also was like pretty hectic and stressful. So we like abandoned it for a little while, watched some other stuff, and then we were like, let's go back to it. Everyone's talking about it. And then we really got hooked. And then I also like how different it was from season 1 to season 2. Like obviously the same story, the same characters, but just there's more focal points on other characters and other aspects of the story. And it was just really redemptive for one character. We shouldn't spoil it though.
Right, we won't spoil it. But I do like one thing I liked about The Bear is that they treat every episode like a movie. Like they had a whole episode in Copenhagen about one character who's there.
And the Christmas episode.
And the Christmas episode, which we all know. Like I feel like that's intentional. I love when that happens. You can see different styles and a singular focus, which is kind of like how movies do. They kind of like, not that they always only focus on one story, but I love when shows do that. So I really enjoyed Bear. But my number 1, and I'm so surprised it's not on your list, is Hard Knocks. And it just became so much part of my identity this year. Like we've been together for like 7 or 8 years, and you've been into football the entire time. And Hard Knocks is what finally got me interested in it, just for myself and because of the storyline. So I feel like it was a through thread that like kind of took over my year, or I guess like my last little bit of the year. So that's my number 1.
Nice. I respect that. Yeah, I feel like
And I'm surprised it's not on yours.
That's too predictable, you know?
The Hard Knocks?
Yeah, I feel like it would be too predictable for me to say that. And
I get it. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and it was so fun for me to have you like join in on my interest in football in general. And we got to watch the Miami like in-season Hard Knocks.
And I do like Miami as a city.
They're your second team.
They're my second team. Well, let us know if any of our picks made your top 3. Let us know in the comments. Thanks so much for listening and for tuning into Tea for Lunch this year. It's been so fun. We'll be back with new episodes in January. And now that we've wet your palate,
Go spend some time with friends or family.
there you go. Happy holidays.